told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch.
I hate you. The man seated in front of her just smirked in a wicked manner and leaned further before saying, I love you too, my soon-to-be wife. Her eyes filled with rage, listening him mentioning her as his to-be wife. She angrily stood up from the couch. Her eyes never left his. Come out from your delusion. I will never marry you. Get this thing inside your head. Saying that, she stormed out of there after throwing the flower vase on the floor, which was kept on the table, while he just sat there without even blinking, a fiendish smile dancing on his lips. My princess, that's what I like about you. She locked the door before throwing herself on the bed, crying silently, thinking of the events happening with her from last week. The man who was down there, his name is JK, the king of underworld. That's what she is told. She knew nothing about him. He desperately wants to marry her, and her wedding is tomorrow. The wedding is fixed by her cruel aunt, as JK offered her witch aunt a lot of money, to which she happily sold wine to him. Suddenly, she stopped crying and started looking for her phone. Soon, she found it under the blanket and she clicked on the contact, my love. She started typing the message to him. Please, talk to me. My aunt is marrying me off to some mafia. I'm telling you, I'll die before marrying him. I'm sorry for the prank. It was just... I was stupid. I wanted to meet you, but you stopped talking to me after that. It's already been 4 days. Please talk to me. Please, reply me. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I'll not pull any prank from now on. I swear. I'm really sorry. Please talk to me. She again ducked her head down in her knees and started crying. Jungkook is her childhood best friend. They were together till she was 10 and he was 12. He is 2 years older than her. But then, suddenly, his family moved out from there. And in the last meet, they promised each other that when they will grow up, they will marry each other. She never forget him, always misses him. Same goes with him. Maybe they promised each other out of childishness, but their affection towards each other was true. After years, she started receiving messages from the anonymous person. At first, she ignored it, thinking of it some creep. But then, when he mentioned him being Jungkook and also mentioned the things which only they both know, and especially the lockets which they both have, and finally she believed him that he is Jungkook. They started sharing everything which is happening in each other's life. As the time passes, he reminded her of the promise, and then after confession, they started online dating. But the only problem was, Vine wanted to meet him in a person, but whenever she asked, he said it is not the right time. Annoyed by the same answer, a week ago, she pulled a breakup prank on him. Since that day, she didn't receive any message from him. She thought he will now finally meet her, but nothing like that happened. She even explained that it was a prank several times, but from his side, the reply was none. And to add in her misery, out of blue, she got to know that her greedy aunt fixed her marriage with some mafia, whose name is JK. She silently sneaked outside of the house from backside. She looked around, and to her surprise, there was no one. But when she looked keenly, she found the guards at a distance, roaming. But this is the only way to escape from this marriage. She was about to walk, but then someone held her wrist tightly and slapped her hard that she fell on the ground with the impact. You are trying to run. We also doesn't want to keep you. Tomorrow that mafia will take you. Till then, stay here. Without giving any heed to her pleadings, she dragged her inside to her room and locked it from outside. She banged the door while crying till there was no energy left in her. She slid down on the floor and cried herself to sleep. Vine is sitting on the couch, motionless, her gaze fixed on the marriage contract which is placed on the center table. She looked at her aunt, more like digging holes in her, and then at JK, who is sitting there like a king. I saw her. She is sitting in front of me, silently, as if there is a big storm inside her. She looked at me with her sharp eyes, like she will kill me. Honestly, if eyes could kill, I would have been dead till now. I can see by looking at her eyes that she cried a lot. Her eyes are puffy, and I felt that ache in my heart, knowing very well that I am the reason of it. But this is for her safety. Once she'll be in my territory, everything will be fine. And this is a little punishment for pulling such a prank on me. For a moment, I felt my breath stuck when I read her message saying that she doesn't want to be with me anymore. I cried whole night. But when she messaged me next day that it was a prank, my whole mind messed up. Somehow I felt relieved, but I was truly hurt by her actions. But then I decided to marry her, cause somehow it is my fault also. I always denied to meet her because of the fear of my enemies. But now it is time to take her with me. And I'm choosing this way so that no one will be able to know about her unless I want it. I'll tell her everything before our wedding, cause of course I want her to marry me with a smile on her face, not tears in her eyes. I came out of my thoughts when she called me. JK, right? He looked at her raising his brows before nodding his head. She is looking at him blankly, which was scaring him. She picked up the pen and then again looked at him. I'm ready to sign this, but I have a condition. He raised his brows. What condition? Both were looking in each other's eye before Ryan looked away, cause she started feeling uneasy looking in his eyes. Those were familiar, but how can it be? How much you are giving my aunt for me? 50 millions. She clenched her fist looking at her aunt. There is no need to give her that. I'm coming with you, with my own will. She is not my owner. Her aunt was looking at her all the time sharply, but when Ryan said that, she bursted in anger. I raised you, a burden like you, And you are giving me this in return? Wine scoffed. Raised me? But the truth is, I am raising you. You all are enjoying on my father's property. Her aunt walked towards her angrily, but the guards held her on her place. I'll not let you go like this. Wine looked at Jungkook. I want you to torture them to death. So, are you accepting it? JK smirked and signed his card, and the guards started dragging her uncle and aunt while they were screaming continuously. Now sign this. He slid the paper towards her. Wine looked at the papers and then at him. She picked up the pen with her trembling hands and signed them, while thinking in her mind that these papers matter nothing to me. I'll never accept you as my husband. Tears rolled down from her eyes, making his heart drop. Soon, you will accept me. Wine is sitting in the room which Jungkook gave her. In some hours, it'll be morning, and she don't want to marry him. She again picked up her phone. Still, no reply from him. She wiped her tears before writing her last message to him. Yes, last message. I know I hurted you, but you are hurting me more. And this is my last message to you, cause I'm getting married. But don't be sad. I'll not break our promise. I'll not marry anyone except you. So I'm choosing this way. Let's meet in another life. She sent the message and threw her phone in some corner before pulling out the blade from her purse. She looked at the sharp object and then at her wrist, her tears flowing non-stop. I'm sorry, Jungkook. She closed her eyes and ready to cut her vein, but someone jerked her hands, causing the blade to fall down. She looked at the person, widening her eyes. I just finished all my work and was about to go to her room to tell her everything, that I'm your Jungkook. Don't know what would be her reaction, but for sure, she's not going to talk to me for days. But what I can do, I have to hide her from the world for some time. I just stood up from the couch, but then my phone buzzed, and it's her message. I opened the message, but as soon as I read it, the ground slipped under my feet, and fear gripped my whole body. The phone slipped from my hands as I ran towards her room. I hope this is not what I'm thinking. When please don't do something stupid. I reached her room. Thankfully, it is not locked. Just then I opened the door. I witnessed the sight which I never wanted to see. I ran towards her and jerked her hands, causing the blade to fall. Wine looked at him, and he was breathing heavily. As he ran all the way, she looked here and there and started finding the blade again, and she saw it. She extended her hands to pick it, but he held her hands tightly. Leave me. Jungkook looked at her in disbelief. What are you doing, huh? Have you lost your mind? He shouted at her, but there was no effect on her. She was continuously struggling in his hold while saying, I will not marry you. I love someone else. She is not ready to listen to him. Suddenly she bit his hand, digging her teeth in his skin. His grip on her loosened, and taking the chance, She again tried to reach the sharp object. But this time, Jungkook jerked her body upwards and slapped her hard. The entire room fell in silence. Only the sounds of their breathing could be heard. Wayne placed her hand on her cheek, where Jungkook slapped her. She could feel the burning sensation there. She looked at him with her red teary eyes. She walked to him. Grabbing his collar, she slapped him hard, causing his face to turn other side with the impact. She again grabbed his collar, making him look at her. "Wayne, listen to me," he whispered. "No, now you listen to me. What do you think of yourself? I said I don't want to marry you. I love someone else." "But no, you can't understand. Why are you forcing me? I only love him and I only marry him." "But no, you can't understand. Then marry my dead body, cause leaving me will never marry you." She left his body with a jerk. "Why?" She looked at him. "Did you hear that? I will never marry you. I'll..." Suddenly she stopped speaking when her eyes fell on something on his neck. It was something like a tattoo. It was looking familiar to her, and suddenly she remembered where she saw it. She shook her head while thinking, this can't be. She can't have a proper vision because of his shirt. She looked at him and then at his neck. Just to confirm, she took a step closer and tore his shirt apart, and the front view left her in shock. The locket hanging in his neck and the tattoo, the symbol of jeons, which every jeon has it after the age of 10. He had this tattoo in front of her. She looked at him and his eyes were also teary. "Jungkook," she whispered, and he nodded slowly. She stumbled back while shaking her head left to right. This can't be. Only this sentence is running in her head. It was too much for her to digest. Suddenly her feet slipped, but Jungkook held her. Taking her in his arms, he hugged her tightly. I'm sorry. She started crying while pushing him away from her, thinking about all the incidents. And he also. He never thought that everything is going to turn out like this. She is constantly hitting him with her fist, shouting and screaming at him. And he is mumbling sorry, seeking for her forgiveness, constantly placing kisses on her forehead, trying to coax her, but she is crying more and more. And suddenly, her cries died down, and he felt her all weight on him. He looked down at her face, and yes, she fainted. He tapped her cheeks. Ryan, wake up. Ryan. He cradled her in his arms before shouting. Jungkook is sitting beside her. She is laying on the bed, unconscious. Doctors gave her injection to rest. Doctor said that she fainted because of too much stress and pressure on her brain. And she is also weak. Taking her one hand in his, he is caressing her face. She is looking pale. How the hell he didn't notice it? He was stupid enough to do all this. He should have told her everything. At least not ignored her messages. Just replied her for once. Then maybe the situation will be different now. I'm sorry, Ban. I'm sorry. Please wake up. I'm ready for any punishment. I'm sorry. I'll not say anything to you for that prank. Please, Ryan, forgive me. I'm sorry. He started sobbing, lowering his head on her hand. He looked at her when he felt a slight movement in her hand, and soon she opened her eyes. He came forward to help her to sit, but she showed him her palm, stopping him in the middle. Slowly, she sat on the bed. She looked here and there and then at him. She is continuously staring at him, observing his every feature. Puberty hit him really hard. Now he is grown up as a man. In childhood, he used to be a cute boy with chubby cheeks. Her eyes filled with tears. She brought her knees closer to her chest and started sobbing silently. Ryan. He came closer, tried to embrace her, but she yanked his hand. Ryan, I'm sorry. He again tried to hold her, but she again snatched her hands from him. Her sobs were getting louder, along with his tears. Are you really my Jungkook? Obviously, there was no room for doubt, but she asked him, and he nodded. But she shook her head in denial. No, you are not. My Jungkook will never do this. He will never hurt me like this. You go away from here. Leave me alone, please. She said while pushing him away from her, but he stayed still on his place. He held her in his arms despite all her protest. 'Cause he knows when she is saying, leave me alone, means she needs him more at that time. And he can't leave her alone. Not after what happened a while ago. Only the thought of it is scaring him to death. No, I don't want to listen anything. I told you that it was just a prank. Just after a day. But you? And what I wanted, just to meet you. But that's how you took your revenge. I was dying with the thought that I am getting married to another man. But you? She stopped speaking when he pulled her more closer and hugged her tightly. She wiggled in his grip, tried to get out, but no use. He is way more stronger than her, and honestly, she don't want him to leave her. And lastly, she also wrapped her hands around him, and they both cried in each other's embrace. You are so bad. I hate you. They both were lying on the bed, Ryan's head on his chest while he is holding her protectively. They didn't exchange any words after that. This silence seems more comfortable for them. They are still finding right words to convey themselves. Breaking the silence, Ryan spoke. I'm sorry. Crashing his eyebrows together, he looked at her. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that I won't break up, even if it was a prank. It's all started because of me, but I just wanted to meet you. I thought by this, at least you'll come to meet me. But she sighed, remembering the series of events that happened. Jungkook pulled her more closer. It was not your fault. It was just, I was mad at you for pulling such a prank. I decided to tell you everything before our wedding, but all this happened. I never knew you'll take this step. This time Ryan looked at him with her sharp eyes. So what did you think? That I'll marry a stranger happily? And I didn't even recognize you, and you're behaving like a total pervert. And what can I do? You have changed completely. It's been almost 10 years. Jungkook cupped her cheeks, making her look at him. Ryan, I'm sorry for everything. Let's forget everything, please. You can give me any punishment you want. But don't ever push me away from you. Don't leave me. She slightly slapped him on his arms. I didn't cry this much to leave you, stupid. But surely there is a good punishment for you. But will you be able to bear it? Anything for you. Think again. I'm giving you a chance. Jungkook never back off from his word. She whispered something in his ear and his face changed colors after hearing her, and she smirked. Why, no, please. You yourself call it for you. Jungkook never back off from his words. She said, mimicking him. Why, please, don't do this with me. I never thought you'll be this much cruel. Yes, I am cruel. Don't go on my innocent face. And be ready for the ride. And get set.